and welcome to this podcast here with StockBox and in partnership with Stark Resources, where today we are joined by Fabian Riedel, the CTO of Stark. We are also joined by Jeremy Bosman from Pesco, who is the principal process consultant, and this company are responsible for separation of materials in processing. And then Willis, head of CRU Plus. They are a mining and minerals marketing intelligence company who work alongside Stark. Thank you all very much for joining us today for this podcast. So really what we want to do is we're making a series of podcasts in conjunction with Stark, focusing on all different sorts of deposits, mainly in the energy metals transition. So we're talking there really lithium, cobalt, gold and nickel. So what we'd like to do is just really introduce the series on the podcast here today, just to talk a little bit about what's to come and what people can look forward to. Also, why it's important for investors to understand the different elements associated with the deposits of these commodities, where they're located geographically, and of course the commercial viability to help them understand and follow if they're investing in any companies that are in this space. So if we can first of all perhaps just talk to Fabian here on lithium. So Fabian, from Stark's point of view, then where's the sort of the focus of the operations at the moment? Are you more heavy, would you say, in a certain commodity?
At the moment, we're more heavy on the lithium side.
Okay.
Lithium commodity is definitely a focus because there's a big interest in the market. And generally in energy transition materials, but specifically definitely in lithium. Yeah.
In lithium. Okay. So what percentage of your work would you say is sort of on the lithium side?
Totally more than half. Yeah.
More than half. Okay.
Definitely
Okay.
more than half.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This probably speaks to the activities going on. And is that, would you say, because of the macro environment, or would you say it's because of Stark's expertise in this area?
I would say it's a combination of both. The macro environment is obviously conducive to a lot of development work, brownfield and greenfield. But then, in addition to that, we're looking at novel technologies that are enabling some applications as well. So yes, it's a combination.
Okay. Well, we can definitely talk about some of the elements that Stark are working on there in terms of sorting ore and processing lithium ore in our lithium podcast. But Willis, and you're just tell me a bit about what it is that you do for Stark. You say you're a company that's really looking at mining and minerals market intelligence. So what does that mean exactly?
Oh, an excellent question. So we've started to partner with Stark to really deliver a lot of new value, we think. But to back up and speak about what Crew Group is, so we are an international mining and minerals and fertilizers consultancy, as well as a research house, and we also put on events in the space. So
Okay.
it's much larger than what my division is, which is Crew Plus, which has really brought together the sort of Stark ethos that we were working with, and we saw in a presentation in June where we came together in South Africa and really found a symbiosis in our future, in what we expect from that in terms of mining and minerals. And there needs to be so much development in this space. Crew Plus is focused on delivering a lot of smaller projects, ones that are a little bit more targeted on just the basics for our clients. And this especially fits into where Stark comes into the market, and they're working with a lot of emerging or junior miners, especially in the lithium space, the cobalt space, or other energy transition metals that CRU is known for their market analysis and for their consultancy and advisory services normally. Now we're trying to help companies in the junior mining space with, I guess, really to make better decisions, to build better projects, and to make them easier to finance, especially at early stages of development, rather than coming in more towards the bankable feasibility stage, more towards the end of the process.
Okay. And where would you say, from the work that you do at the moment, that where are the hot commodities at the moment, and also what are the hot ones coming down the pipe?
Absolutely. So I think across the board, there's been an interest and a rise in interest around battery raw materials
Hmm.
for a number of years. I think that's very clear. While the price will go up and down, the interest remains, and the long-term demand future, no matter who you listen to, is all in the same direction, which is up and to the right in terms of growth and demand.
Hmm.
Now, certainly, there's going to have to be a lot of changes over the coming years, and we certainly see that from a technology perspective, where we'll just take lithium as an example. The transition from lithium ion batteries in a liquid state to a solid state, or the competition with sodium ion batteries, leave a lot of technical uncertainties around exactly how much is going to be used and exactly what forms. But these are the sort of devil in the details of the larger overall picture of growth. So I'd say that most of our work right now focuses on one of two things: one, energy transition; two, more on emissions, or the emissions of production today, especially because CRU Group is so focused and has such a long history in the steel market, which really has a lot of emissions work that can be done there and can be looked at as one of the largest emitting sectors in the industry. But we've really begun to focus significantly more on battery raw materials. And to be honest, copper really falls into that as well, because
Hmm.
there needs to be record amounts of investment in copper between now and 2050. So those really are some of the reasons why we're focused on developing there. We're going through quite a change here, and the mass balances are absolutely eye-watering for many of these commodities, where the average smelter is between 50 and 100,000 tons, and you need 2 million new tons. That's a lot of smelters that need to go in. That's a lot of mines. The numbers are staggering.
Yes, the numbers are going to be staggering. I think it's going to be a very exciting time to be an investor, but also companies working in this space. So, as I said in the introduction there, what we'd like to cover on the series of podcasts is the types of deposits, the locations of deposits geographically, the jurisdictions that these deposits appear in, to how companies can operate in these sectors, mineral recovery technologies, and of course trends there. And you've just given us a bit of an insight there, Willis, into some of those things. Fabian, so if we were to just look at a few different commodities here, I think we're going to cover sort of lithium, cobalt, gold, and nickel. What's your expertise in some of these areas, and Stark's expertise in some of these commodities areas?
Mostly in terms of upgrading, mineral processing,
Mm,
and ideating the ideal flow sheets to optimize the efficient recovery of these metals, and also helping in identifying the right early stage plants and test and bulk testing, pilot plant stages. So the whole spectrum from exploration, and then due to uh, all the way to identifying the best large scale plant.
okay, okay.
Um, and this is so especially now in hard rock deposits of lithium, but also in sulfidic gold, nickel, copper deposits. There are upgrading methods arising at the moment, especially on the
Hmm.
early plant stages that haven't been around 20 years ago. And in combination with traditional methods like dense media separation or other density separation pre-upgrading mechanisms, um, there can be huge benefits to the efficiency of
Okay.
recovering these metals.
Okay. Well, Jeremy, let me bring you in. We've not spoken yet. So on the separation side of the business here, the dense media separation, what is it that you bring to this area?
Well, I think firstly about 30 years of expertise. And also, dense medium is more focused on the bulk commodities. So, traditionally, like your iron ore, manganese, coal, diamonds. And then from about 2014, lithium came into the dense medium space. The difference with lithium is that it's a much more difficult separation than all the other dense medium separations and all the other commodities. And it's also interesting the size. So it's not as big. The iron ore plants are massive. Diamond plants can be big or very small. Lithium is at the lower end. So it's an interesting combination of the processing that for lithium specifically compared to the others, because like diamonds, or you might have 2 stages, iron ore, you'd have 1 stage. In a lithium plant, you can have 5 stages of density medium separation in a plant processing 100 million tons per annum. So then it's a question of what do you do? How do you do it? So to enable our clients and to provide a service for our clients, what we do is we cover it from basic testing, getting drill core, crushing, doing liberation analysis, HLS work, pilot plant. We help with flow sheet design. We help with equipment sizing. We get involved with commissioning. So we cover the full spectrum. And you know, I'm just very fortunate to have been involved in the lithium space specifically since 2014. So before lithium became flavor of the month, we started being involved. And currently, about 80% of our business is lithium focused around the world.
Okay, excellent. Well, it sounds like it's going to be a very interesting topic discussing about how you separate lithium, with it being slightly more complex there. I know there's lots of projects around the world that currently have, we'll say lithium is topic of the month.
Yeah.
So a lot of companies will be looking to hopefully exploit their lithium projects. How important do you think it is? I mean, I don't know if you do any investing yourself, or any of you here of any kind of investments in the market. We're making no stock recommendations, but for sure it's very important to for investors to educate themselves on the different properties of each company they might be investing in. How important, Jeremy, do you think it is for people to understand sort of the whole process really, and some of the complexities that are involved?
It's incredibly important because people are rushing to the market to get their lithium plants up and running as quickly as possible while the price is as high as possible. In that process, there's shortcuts being taken, some knowingly. There's an element of risk that's introduced. And so when you're considering an investment opportunity, you've got to understand what is the basis of the design, what test work has been done. Is it on a single sample? Have they done variability sampling? And you know, so you have to carefully go through the technical reports that the listed companies publish just to find out how detailed it is. And it's a trade-off, you know, the risk of doing everything thoroughly but missing the peak of the market, or taking risks, knowing that you're going to have some learnings along the way, but getting to the market quickly. And that's where the focus of the market is at this stage, speed. Yeah. And I think that's, you know, so we collaborate with Stark. Traditionally, ore sorters said they would take over dense medium separation, and dense medium separation said ore sorters have no place. But together, we know that each one of them has their role to play. And for our clients, we've got to identify what that role in that space is and what each one can do. And that's where the collaboration comes from, because we share that vision that we must provide the clients an optimum solution, which is not just one or the other, but in most cases, a combination of both.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Willis, what are you and your team seeing when it comes to the price of lithium? Are you able to predict the peak? Probably not, but you can maybe have a good go.
Well, I'll stay away from making any predictions on here because you never know on that.
Indeed.
But I think one part of following on to the last discussion is that making those sound technical decisions also needs actionable market data, because that's the other side of this. Upgrading, you know, to different product specifications, we need to know pricing for each one of those so you can make you know, a better decision for your project, the best decision for it. That same thing about market entry. So you can technically maybe be in the market a little sooner, but maybe it'd be more advantageous to wait a year or two until a supply gap formed a little bit more and market entry was easier. So those type of discussions can really have a sort of market focused engagement with CRU as part of that, as well as an understanding sort of from the industry perspective of where your cost lies for a project. So if that cost is understood to be in the lowest quartile, even if the market doesn't go as well as everyone expects, then there's some protection for investors. But if you're sitting in the fourth quartile or a marginal cost producer, you know that there's a lot more risk in that if prices dip, then to remain profitable becomes much harder for someone out in the fourth quartile. So having, you know, cost assessments across industries is something that CRU does and brings this sort of more wide spectrum to the table, where the folks at Stark and Pisco, they're looking more in the details of each project. And so it really becomes a nice marriage there, because CRU employees are not mining investors. We remain independent, so then we can give an assessment on a common methodology, I guess you would say, across the entire industry, so that investors and and project developers can make the best decisions for them.
Okay.
Well, the market outlook can also have a big influence on the actual choice of the flow sheet, of the combination of technologies, especially when you're looking at shorter term decisions.
Mhm.
And if you marry that with the long term view for long term plant, so if you phase your plant development, you can align it with market expectations. And the combination here, I think, is crucial.
Absolutely, it's a really good point.
Okay, well, thank you all for giving us a bit of a taste of what might be to come. I know on each podcast we're going to have industry experts from Stark or Stark's consultants or Stark's partners who they work with, and also we'll possibly get some geologists or indeed CEOs from projects around the world when we're talking about the different commodities. But thank you all very much for giving us that bit of an introduction today. I'm very much looking forward. I think our first one is on lithium, and I believe it's definitely Fabian and Jeremy who are joining us for that one, I believe. Willis, we may see you again. I'm sure we'll be seeing you again at some point. There's lots of very interesting things we can talk about together. But I look forward to getting that lithium podcast started and talking in more detail to the people we will have on there. But thank you all for joining us today for that little taste of what's to come.